Hello again, baseball fans, and welcome into episode number 14 of Ducks on the Pod. I'm your host, Mitch Gatzke. Thanks so much for joining me as always. Follow along with the show at fourlights.fm/ducks/14. Remember to like the page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Ducks on the Pod. Review, subscribe, tell your friends. Because things are starting to get real. Episode number 14, the Placido Polanco edition, if I may. You want to know what happiness looks like? Watch the video of Maglio Ordonez's home run to send the Tigers to the World Series in 2006. Watch Placido Polanco round third in what looks to be his scuba diving gear with that gigantic grin from ear to ear, his arms stretched above his head as he gallops his way home. That, my friends, is what happiness looks like. As I mentioned at the beginning of last week's show, we are now in what I like to call only baseball season, and that also means a great deal of happiness for me. Do not let yourself be distracted by all the NBA draft talk going on this week, because no matter who gets drafted or where, I guarantee none of them will contribute as much to their team in the fall as some of Major League Baseball's rookies are right now. And that's where I'm going to start the show this week with a couple of rookies making history. Let's get right to it. Baseball has a pair of prodigies that are poised to take over the summer in Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger. They're testing our ability to describe their talents because each night they do something that surpasses what they did the night before. We're running out of superlatives. We're not even into July yet. Aaron Judge is larger than life, both literally and figuratively. In all of baseball right now, he ranks fourth in batting average and first in both on-base and slugging percentage. He's tied for the most runs scored and has gone deep more times than anyone else. He's slugging a single point under 700, for crying out loud. But most importantly, I think he's brought the national attention back to Yankee Stadium and made it fun to be a Yankees fan again. New York has a whole team of guys who are partly responsible for that, but none nearly as much so as the Judge. At this point, I'm hoping Aaron Judge can keep up the pace and hit 50 long balls to take over the record for most home runs in a rookie season. And speaking of rookies hitting homers at a historic rate, Cody Bellinger, after belting two more in his 51st career game Monday night, has taken fewer games to hit his first 21 big flies than any other player in the history of the sport. Last night's performance was his fifth multi-homer game. You remember what Gary Sanchez did when he was called up late last summer? Yeah, Bellinger has been even better. The Dodgers were 9-11 before he was called up on April 25th. They beat the Giants that night, and they've gone 35-15 since then. Obviously, there's a lot that's gone into that drastic improvement, but replacing what was a powerless bat in the hands of Adrian Gonzalez with the pop that Bellinger is providing has been a major ingredient in the Dodgers' winning formula. Bellinger actually has a decent shot at toppling the NL mark for most homers by a rookie. That was set in 1930 by Wally Burger. The old Burger boy, and then tied in 1956 by a man named Frank Robinson. You may know he went on to be a Hall of Famer. They both hit 38. Bellinger already has 21. We'll see. They play in the two largest media markets in America, so you're going to be hearing all about Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger as the season wears on, but I implore you not to get annoyed about it. These two are even better than we can advertise, and what we're watching them do could very well end up in the record books. So please, join me in enjoying their journey. I was checking in on the standings over the weekend when I realized something. The addition of two more wildcard teams was the best change made to the game since free agency 41 years ago. Look at the AL. Imagine if this was 2011, the last year that each league had only one wild card. If this were 2011, the Red Sox would have a 3.5 game lead on the Twins and Rays for the final playoff spot, and that would be that. There's nothing more to say because it's not much of a race at that point. In the NL, you'd have the Dodgers moving on to the division series and the D-backs clearing out their lockers. What's the fun in that? Why not have those two play in a do-or-die one-game series? So that's what baseball decided to do. It's been 5 years since each league began to allow two non-division winners a shot at October. So let's take a look at what these second wildcard teams have done with their newfound opportunities. Last year, the Giants were 3 outs away from forcing an NLDS Game 5 against the Cubs, with Johnny Cueto tabbed to get the ball again. Of course, we know what happened there. The Giants fell apart as they did so many times throughout the latter part of the season, and that Game 5 never happened, but still, 3 outs away. 2015 was the year of the second wild card. The Astros won the wild card game at Yankee Stadium and took the eventual champions, the Royals, to a 5th game in one of the most entertaining back-and-forth series you'll ever see. Interestingly, Cueto got the win for the Royals in that one as well. And of course, the Cubs jumped back onto the big stage, advancing to the NLCS before being swept by the Mets' overpowering starters. Imagine if they'd not gotten the chance to play in that 2015 postseason. Would the Cubs have won the 2016 World Series? I'm not sure they would have. That experience was invaluable for a team that would enter the next season as the favorites to win it all. Both the Astros and the Cubs would have finished a game shy of a playoff spot under the old system. Now, are you going to try to convince me that they don't deserve to be there? Good luck. In 2014, the Giants became the first team to ever win 12 games in a single postseason, a feat that was previously impossible prior to the change. They lost only 5 games during their run to the World Series title, 3 of which came to the Royals in that epic Fall Classic. 2013 saw the Rays beat the Rangers in a play-in game just to earn a shot at the Indians, who they also beat before falling to the eventual World Series champion Red Sox in the ALDS. The expansion of the wild card paid dividends immediately in that 2012 season. The Cardinals, winners of the 2011 World Series, lost that NLCS in 7 games to the Giants, the winners of the 2010 World Series, who would go on to win their second title in 3 years. Basically, baseball fans, every year since its inception, this rule has proved its worth. Last year, both leagues needed a tiebreaker to determine their wild card winner. Our beautiful new system let them do it the same way they would have in the old days, except now it was under the banner of postseason baseball instead of that dreaded Game 163 label. In 2015, the 97-win Cubs got an opportunity they otherwise wouldn't have. The 2014 World Series pitted 2 wildcard teams against one another, and they proceeded to turn in an instant classic. The Royals found their identity as the team that just would not go away as they rallied to tie the A's, finally winning in 12 thrilling innings. And a 4-hit shutout at PNC Park began Madison Bumgarner's transformation from dominant postseason pitcher to downright folk hero. In 2013, we watched the Rays win games 162, 163, and 164, essentially 3 elimination games in a span of 4 days to earn a spot in the division series. And 2012 gave the Orioles and Rangers a chance to settle things the old-fashioned way, too. Now, I know many people don't like this thing. They equate it to the first 4 of the NCAA March Madness tournament. It rewards mediocrity, they say, puts too many teams in the postseason. Well, these aren't bad people, they're just wrong. Over the past 5 years, the lowest win total for any wildcard team was 86. That was the 2015 Astros. Now do the math with me here. 162 games minus 86 wins equals 76 losses. They finished 10 games over the 500 mark. In baseball, that's not mediocrity, that's a good ball club. As far as those who complain about too many teams being involved, they've got to be kidding me. There are 30 teams in baseball, 10 of them make the postseason. And the funny thing is, these are the same people who watch basketball and hockey Two sports that let 16 of their 30 teams compete in the playoffs. Give me a break. The other criticism I've heard is the only problem I have with the new wildcard system, because baseball is played in series, not day by day. To switch that up and play a one-game knockout round is criminal both to the competitors and the observers. The only thing that can make Major League Baseball's postseason any better now is turning the wildcard round into a best-of-3 series. To me, it makes total sense if you look at it. You play a best-of-3 in the wildcard, best-of-5 in the division series, and then a best-of-7 in the championship and World Series. People freak out every time you propose adding games onto the schedule. This is getting into a bit of a separate issue, but honestly, I would love to sacrifice some regular season games for more in the postseason. I've been a supporter of a 148-game season for a while now. Is that not enough to determine proper division winners? Would it not be exponentially better to cut 14 glorified spring training games in favor of a few more where every pitch seems to hold the fate of the contest? I digress. What I'm getting at here is the two-team wildcard is great for baseball, and here's why. Even the Oakland Athletics, the American League's worst team, are only 4.5 games out of a playoff spot right now. A lot would have to happen since there are 10 teams between them in that second wildcard spot, but there's no denying that having everyone in the race for as long as possible is good for business league-wide. The NL, on the other hand, is a completely different story. The D-backs and Dodgers are chasing the Rockies in the West, but have already pulled away from everyone else in the wildcard race. Thankfully, there's room for them and the Rockies, as all three are playing great ball this year. That brings me to the most intriguing discovery and resulting thought of this exercise. The Cubs are 8.5 back in the wild card and 1.5 games behind the Brew Crew in the Central. Even if the Cubbies do start winning like crazy all of a sudden, those three out west look like they're going to be able to keep up what they've got going. The point is this: the Cubs' easiest route to the playoffs this season is passing the Brewers and winning the division. Just some food for thought as we continue to see the pennant races shape up with now fewer than 100 games left. While the Cubbies might be getting worried, the Milwaukee Brewers should be getting excited. Not because they're the favorites to win the division, they're most certainly not. And that is why they should be excited. The pressure here is on the Chicago Cubs to go out and win this thing. The Brewers came into the season as favorites to compete with the Reds for last place. It was clear that there was talent on the roster, but much of it was unproven at the major league level. The consensus scouting reports seemed to be that they'd be ready to compete in a year or two, but not this summer. Well, here we are more than 70 games in, and the Brewers find themselves juxtaposed from those predictions and fighting to keep the defending champs at a distance. Baseball is a game best played without much thought. The best players think without thinking. Their actions on the diamond come naturally. It's a game of repetition, and the quicker you can do something without having to think about it, the better off you're going to be in most cases. It's really best if you don't have to think at all. And while that can be easy to do on a specific play during a game, it's a much tougher task when you apply it to the entire 6-month season. How can you resist scoreboard watching to see what the other guys are doing tonight? How can you not check the standings every day and start counting down your magic number? It's part of being a professional, the most important part if you ask me, and the reason why baseball is so tough to succeed at. It's a lot easier when you embrace that concept. Joe Madden has touched on it before. When you try to run from something, it tends to follow you. So I advise the Brew Crew to look at holding off the Cubs in the NL Central pennant race as something they get to do, not something that they have to do. Remember that the Cubs are the ones under the pressure here. Just go out there every night and try not to think. It's worked pretty well so far. The NL West is by far the most fun division in baseball. Sure, the AL East race is close for now, but there are only two real contenders there. The Central is a mess, and now that the Tribe are in first, I expect them to stay. And no team in the AL is going to catch the Astros. The NL East is a disgrace. The Nats are good, but not double-digit lead over every other team in the division good. As I talked about in the last segment, the Central is getting interesting, but still looks like only 2 real contenders there. The NL West currently has 3 teams that are nearly 20 games over the 500 mark, all within a single game of each other in the standings, and they all just keep winning. The Rockies are 7-3 in their last 10. The D-backs are 9-1, as are the Dodgers, and as of Tuesday afternoon, they account for 3 of the 4 longest active winning streaks in baseball. Colorado beat San Francisco in dramatic fashion Sunday afternoon, surrendering 3 runs in the top of the 9th, only to score 4 of their own in the bottom half. Nolan Arenado capped off the comeback and completed the cycle at the same damn time with his 3-run jack. It was very exciting. I believe I heard somewhere in the past couple of days that this was the first time ever that someone hit a walk-off homer to complete the cycle. I happened to be watching that 9th inning live, and you could sense that this was going to happen, because when you're going good, things just work out like that. The walk-off finished up a 4-game sweep, and the Rockies have lost only 4 games all month. They are certainly going good right now. My buddy Chase sent me a text Monday morning saying it made him happy that the Dodgers aren't running away with the division this year. I couldn't agree more. And I would add that the Rockies and D-backs being the other 2 teams in the race makes it that much more exciting. Arizona hasn't seen playoff baseball since 2011. Colorado has been absent from the postseason since 2009. For the first time in 4 years, we won't have to watch the Giants fade in the dog days and finish a close second to the Dodgers. That's going to be refreshing for all involved, I promise. The Padres and Giants being so bad also helps the cause here, I think. The Rockies, D-backs, and Dodgers have a combined record of 39-17 against the Padres and Giants. That right there is why the 2 wildcard spots will go to whichever 2 teams fall short of the division title out west. The fact that all 3 are virtually guaranteed an invite to October already makes it that much better, because this summer we won't have to check in on other teams around the NL, as is normally the case with wildcard races. Nope, this summer Colorado, Arizona, and Los Angeles have blessed us with a pennant race that we can really hone in on. We know it'll be these 3, we just don't know the order that they'll finish in. That's the fun part. And wouldn't you know it, we've got the Rockies hosting the D-backs Tuesday through Thursday before heading out to LA for a weekend set against those Dodgers. It's rare that a team gets a shot at both of its top 2 division opponents in 1 week. It's even rarer to know in mid-June that the games you're watching will have a direct impact on the outlook of October. Well, that's exactly what we've got on our hands this week, and really the rest of the season out in that NL West, which can now also be called the best division in baseball. Before I sign off for the week, I just want to express my gratitude, because there are a lot of people who are really embracing this podcast and letting me do my thing, helping me out, giving me a lot of valuable feedback, and a lot of people who are just supporting the show, wearing the shirts, posting the stickers everywhere. I love it. Keep sending me your pics. And just, it means a lot to me, because this is a lot of work. It is something that I'm not getting paid for. It's a passion project, and I knew what I was getting myself into a little bit. But there are times when it's been tough, and to hear the words of encouragement really does mean a lot to me. So sincerely, from me, Mitch Gatzke, your host here at Ducks on the Pod, thank you very much for listening. I promise you the best is yet to come. You'll just have to stay tuned and watch. In the meantime, you know the drill by now. Like the Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Ducks on the Pod. Tell your friends. Rate the show. Subscribe to it. Review it. And remember, keep your glove on the dirt, your bat off your shoulder, and always keep your eye on the ball.
Back, gone.